Good afternoon. I'm going to try starting a little series of news from Korea. There's a couple of sites that take current events in Korea, articles from newspapers and magazines, and they translate them for the non-Korean readers in Korea. It's a really handy really handy website. One of the problems is we don't always get the real news that's going on in Korea in the English language newspapers. They tend to be lacking. Uh, for example, when I first started working here, we weren't paid into our bank account. We were given the cash in your hand. So it's payday, here's $2,000, here's $3,000. And then you have to walk to the bank and deposit it, but we felt safe. Might not have if I'd actually heard the real news of what was going on in my city at the time. There was a bank robbery spree going on. Some woman with a knife going in and robbing banks. Never heard about it in the English language papers. So sites like this are very valuable if you want to keep up to date on the real news. One of the things they do is they track the most read stories. One of the big web portals, information portals here is Naver. And for the last week, the most read stories have all been about the suicide of an actor, model, a guy. His name is Ahn JaeHwan. Ahn JaeHwan. And he was married to an actress, Jung Sun-hui. And I guess he killed himself. From what I've read, he hasn't left a note. The police have ruled out murder. According to his wife, he was very, very depressed because he owed $4 million US. Failed businesses, things like that. So he couldn't take the stress of it. And he figured he only had one way out. And that's what he did. My students, actually, some of my higher level students, our class, they wanted to talk about what happened and why he would do that. They couldn't understand. He's rich. He's famous. Why isn't he happy with his life? And so we started talking about suicide, depression, things that lead to it. For adults in Korea, credit card debt is one of the major reasons why they kill themselves. If you're a Korean, it's so easy to get a credit card here. And they'll have umpteen credit cards. One friend of mine, his sister-in-law, was married to a man who ran up $30,000 in credit card debt. 30 grand just on credit cards. And they were having a hell of a time paying it off. Her mother told her, you must divorce him because he owes too much money. So she divorced him. Don't know what he ended up doing. But a lot of people run their credit cards up, they can't pay it, and they kill themselves. Teen suicide is really high in Korea. I think Korea and Japan had some of the highest rates in the world. And so we kind of got talking about that, teen suicide, and what would lead a teenager to commit suicide. Well, I mean, in Korea, as soon as you start middle school, your childhood is over. You're not an adult, but you don't get to be a teenager. It's just study, 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 study. In middle school, you are studying to get into a good high school. And some of these kids, even middle school kids, 12 hours a day counting school and Hagwons. I've taught kids that were going 16 hours a day to private academies, to the public school. Then you hit high school, then everything is university entrance exam. That's the whole focus. Study, study, study. Some of the high schools start at 8:30 and don't finish until 11 o'clock at night. And then some of them still go to private academies after that for more training. There's actually a bill in the works to allow Hagwons to be open 24 hours a day if they want. Currently, the law is supposed to restrict them, but it's ignored. Uh, so then their whole high school life is just study, 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 get into a good university. And if they're not in, if they're in an industrial high school, the ones who go to an industrial high school tend not to go to university, but for their whole their whole high school life, they're berated by their teachers. You're going to have a factory job. You're going to have a low-paying job. You're stupid. And I know people who've worked at industrial high schools, and this is one of the big complaints they had about their co-workers, their co-teachers. They would just berate the kids. You're stupid. You're not going to be anything. So whether you're in an industrial high school and you're not going to university, you're being told your life's already over. And if you're at any other high school, it's just study all day, all night. Too much pressure on them. And that's why the kids kill themselves. They think they fail. If they fail, it's not acceptable. I will never forget the story a few years ago. One girl, she wrote her test, her university entrance exam. She figured she failed it. She went and said goodbye to all her friends. My life is over. She went across the street, up the building, and killed herself. It was just way too much stress on them. So we had an interesting discussion on it, a pretty good discussion. Tried not to get too morbid. Kind of hard to do when you're talking about suicide, but it is a problem here, whether it's the common people, the kids, or the stars. Last year, 3 or 4 famous actresses, singers killed themselves because they couldn't take the pressure of their lives. Wherever you are in the world, I mean, we're all stressed out at times. And it is a problem everywhere, but I guess it's bigger somewhere. Teen suicide is definitely a problem here. Anyways, hope you're having a good day. Sorry if I depressed you. And may the good news be yours.